Hello everyone, this is day 2 of 69 days of code and my name is Rajat Upadhyay, and today we'll be looking at a few other things in Node.js itself. So what I studied for today is proxies and reverse proxies and load balancers, and we are going to be looking at the theory of proxies and reverse proxies and load balancers completely, and we are going to create our own proxy server in Node.js as well. So we'll be using a dummy API and we are going to create a proxy server, and when we are going to proxy those requests that are coming into that dummy API. Now I know just because you don't know what proxies and reverse proxies are, so you might not be able to understand this example, but just in a few minutes you'll be able to completely understand and grasp the concept. Okay, so let us start. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to explain. Let's start off with a proxy server, and I'm going to explain what a proxy server is, and then what is a reverse proxy server, and then how a reverse proxy is used as a load balancer. So keep your focus laser sharp. Okay, let's start. So first of all, what is a proxy? Again, let's draw a diagram that we draw in most of the classes. So this is our system. This is our server. Okay, this is my computer, and this is our Node.js server. Okay, now whenever we make a request, what happens? Very simple. HTTP request, REST API request, it goes from this computer, it goes inside the server computes it, and then it returns back the data, and it is displayed on our system, on our Chrome browser or Microsoft Edge, or if someone is using Internet Explorer, then that's a separate thing. Okay, now the second thing is, what is a proxy server? Okay, so let's say that you are working inside an organization, right? So let's say that you are working in consider any organization. Okay, let's say you are working in YouTube. Okay, and now YouTube employees, right? What they do is, YouTube employees search YouTube a lot, right? So whenever they are working, they just whenever they find some free time, they just pull up the Internet Explorer, or they pull up their browsers and they start searching YouTube, right? Now YouTube does not want its employees searching YouTube. So what YouTube does is, it puts a reverse proxy on its internal servers, so their employees cannot open YouTube. Okay, so what that basically means is, the YouTube server. So let's say this is the YouTube server, right? I'm going to write one more thing over here. YouTube server instead of Node.js server, Node.js YouTube server. Okay, so YouTube has a Node.js server running at one place, right? And whatever traffic is coming in, let's say this is the work computer. Okay, this is the work computer of a person who is working inside YouTube, right? As an employee, let's say as a software engineer. And then there is the rest of the world, right? This is the people in rest of the world. Okay, so rest of the world, wherever people are, they are also accessing YouTube, right? Not only the people working in YouTube are accessing YouTube, but people apart from who are not working in YouTube are also accessing YouTube. Okay, this is getting confusing. So what happens is, whenever these people want to access YouTube, they will make a request. They will open youtube.com or the YouTube application in their mobile phone, and this request is going to go here, and they are able to get the data back, right? So if you want to listen to music, if you want to watch some other funny videos, or any tutorial on anything, you can just if you want to watch my video, then you can just make a request from here, and this will return back the data, right? And what happens is, now the people working in YouTube, right? Let me remove this. The request is being made, response is written, right? Now the people working in YouTube, whenever they are making a request, they also go through the same route, right? Because it is a normal computer, it will also go through the same route. But the problem is, YouTube does not want people surfing youtube.com when they are in their office hours, right? And they are accessing their office systems. So what YouTube will do is, they will put a proxy in their network. Okay, so a proxy is exactly a server. This is a server. Okay, and it applies only to the people who are working inside YouTube as their employees and using YouTube's given laptops or computers, right? Their work laptops or computers. So what happens is, instead of the request going directly like this here, this time the request will go from this proxy server. Okay, this is our proxy server. This is our proxy server. Okay, and what this proxy server will do is, it will try to determine that what is the HTTP address of the website that the person is trying to open. Now, if the HTTP address of the website that the person is trying to open is Amazon or Flipkart or YouTube or Prime Video or Netflix or something like that, what will happen is this request will be terminated and the response will be sent back as it is denied. Like the access to this website is denied, right? Or a nice message that you cannot surf YouTube while you are at work. Okay, something like that. So that is a reverse proxy server. Sorry, that is a proxy server. Okay, a proxy server sits between the server, the actual server from which the data is coming in, and your computer, and it filters all the requests that are coming through it, right? So the purpose of installing a proxy server can be anything. Okay, this can be one of the purpose, like installing a proxy server to avoid people using a certain sort of certain website while they're at work, something like that, right? This is a common practice. People use it all the time. Okay, this can also be used to filter some sort of requests, right? And if certain types of requests are coming in, enhance that request, compress that request. If let's say the same record is being repeated over and over again, the same data is being repeated over and over again, then there's something known as a gzip compression. Okay, so the compression will be applied to it, and not a lot of data will go inside the actual server. Security is one of the purposes. What will happen is this proxy server, this request coming in from this browser will go here, and this proxy server will lead this IP address. It will remove this IP address from the request itself, and then send the request to the actual server that is trying to that we are trying to access. So in that way, this actual server will not be able to access the IP address of our computer, and in that way we have an added layer of security, right? We are anonymous. So in this way, even a VPN, right? VPNs we use is also, it's sort of a proxy server, but it is not really a proxy server. It is different from that, but it works in that way. Okay, so that is a proxy server. Again, I have an image, I guess, on my system, by looking at which you will be able to understand it properly. Yes, 1 second. So this is the image. Okay. These are the people using any website. They can be visiting any website, and there is a proxy server over here, right? Forward proxy. It is called a forward proxy. We'll look into what reverse proxy is also, but this is called a forward proxy. Okay, what this forward proxy does is it can cancel the request, it can add enhancements to the request, it can compress the data, it can provide security, right? It can cache the data, right? So if some data is already being fetched previously, right, it can also cache the data, so the request does not have to go to the actual server, and in that way it will be faster. Okay, and then you can see these requests that are coming from here are going through the forward proxy server and then going to the internet, right? And through the internet they are going to the real servers. Okay, so you can consider these real servers on the right hand side, right, where I'm hovering right now. These are the actual YouTube servers, right? And this is the proxy server that YouTube has installed for its employees, and these are the employees trying to access YouTube. Okay, so the request will be turned back from here. But if they try to access something else like google.com for debugging, right, then the request will go forward and it will go to the Google servers. Okay, so this is a proxy server. So what is a reverse proxy? This is a forward proxy, right? Very simple. If you still don't understand it, I find the GitHub link in my in the description box. In the GitHub link, go to the day 2 code, and you will find the proxies code over there. Inside that there is a readme. Inside the readme I have provided all the Medium or the other types of blogs that I've read through and then understood it. So even I didn't know what proxies were properly. I had a little bit of idea, but not properly. So I read those articles and I was able to understand it. So you will be also able to understand it properly. It's very simple. Okay, so let's see what is a reverse proxy. So yeah, this is just a proxy server acts as a gateway between you and the internet site. It's a gateway between you who is trying to access the internet and the internet itself. It sits in the middle. What is a reverse proxy? Okay, this shows a load balancer actually. So let's jump back to good old paint window, and let's create our computer again. This is our computer. Okay, this is our server. Okay, and now before this one, the forward proxy was sitting over here with the computer itself, with our system itself, right? It was inside our, like it was connected to our system, not really connected to the server, but connected near to our system, right? It was inside our organization, inside a VPC or inside our VPN when we are connected to it. But the reverse proxy is connected to a server, the backend server. Okay, so this is a forward proxy, this one. This is a forward proxy, and this is a reverse proxy. Right, so reverse means we just reverse the forward proxy, so it is given the name reverse proxy. Okay, I'm going to remove the forward proxy for now because you have already understood it. Don't need to complicate things. Okay, so this is the reverse proxy server. What happens in a reverse proxy server is it is the same as the forward proxy, but now it sits along with the server. So instead of YouTube people, right, instead of this proxy applying to the people who are working in YouTube as employees, this proxy will apply to everyone across the internet, right? Everyone in the whole world, right? Because now this is not sitting across with the computer inside the VPN. It is sitting across with the server, right? So what was previously happening was we had the proxy server over here with the people who are working in YouTube. So only the people who are working with YouTube were only those requests were passing through the proxy, and people in the rest of the world were directly able to access the server. But this time, the reverse proxy is with the server itself. So all the requests in the world will pass through this reverse proxy. Okay. So what will happen in this time is also the same thing whenever we make a HTTP request. Okay. So let's say I make a request from here. It passes through this reverse proxy. Okay. And then it goes to inside the server, and then it comes out. Or it can happen so that I go inside there and my request gets rejected, right? Based on what the reverse proxy is doing. Let's say reverse proxy wants to block your IP address. Okay, then it will block your IP address. What is reverse proxy used for? It is very simple. Reverse proxy is same as forward proxy, but it is placed near the server. Okay, with the server. So what is reverse proxy used for? Reverse proxy is used again for a lot of things. First of all, security. It can mask your identity by deleting your IP address. Okay, or it can even set your IP address to something else, so the person would think that this is the right IP address, but the IP address is something else. Okay. Second thing, it can act as a load balancer. So what is a load balancer? Let's say you don't have one server, you have multiple servers. Okay, so there is one more server over here, one more. One second. One server here, one server here, one server here, one server here. Okay, you have 5 servers instead of one server. And why do we need 5 servers? Because we have a lot of traffic coming in. Well, let's say that in one day, I have around 20 million people visiting my website. Okay, so one small server will not be able to handle it. So we have 2 options. Either we take one very, very big server, or we take many tiny servers. Okay, so why not take one big server? Because if that one big server breaks, the rest of the whole 20 million of traffic will be blocked, right? But if we take small tiny servers, a lot of tiny servers, right, what will happen is if one of the server breaks down, or availability is not available at the moment, then the requests that are coming in will be proxied to some other server, right? So that is the number of servers over large one server. Okay, so this concept is called as horizontal scaling or vertical scaling. Okay, in terms of scaling in system design. So maybe we will study that also in some other video in the coming future. Okay. So yeah, so what reverse proxy acts like? A reverse proxy acts like a load balancer, right? So let's say that the requests that were coming in, let's say that 10 requests came in, and 5 of them were given to this big server. Okay, let's say 1 2 3 4 and 5 of them were given to this server. Now sixth one comes in. Okay, so the reverse proxy sees, okay, six requests is coming in, and there are I already also have 4 more servers, right, available. But why should I give this request also to this server only? Maybe it is already very busy, right? So what it will do is it will determine according to an algorithm. The algorithm can be anything. It can be a round robin algorithm, it can be any sequential algorithm or anything, right? And it will determine whether it wants to send the request to this one or this one or this one or this one. And it can be anything. It can be dependent upon the history of availability of those servers. It can be dependent upon how long they take to return the request. It can be dependent upon the memory usage or the compute power of those CPUs. Okay, so this is a total algorithm. So it will determine that, okay, this request goes here, then another request comes in, it will determine, okay, I'll send it here, then another comes in, I'll send it here, another comes in, I'll send it here, then again another comes in, I'll send it here, right? So I'm assuming a sequential manner, right? 5 goes to these ones, and then 1 1 1 1, and then again this one. So in this way, the whole traffic that was coming inside our server, right, the reverse proxy server that was sitting between the computer and the actual server, relayed the request to different servers, right? And in that way, not one server itself did not have all the load on it, right? In that way, this is why it is called load balancing. Okay, so this is how reverse proxy is used as a load balancer. Okay, And again, the uses of reverse proxy are almost the same as forward proxy. Instead of load balancing, it has the amazing feature of load balancing. So Nginx is a reverse proxy server which you can use and configure in your own. But I don't think like for personal projects you will need to use a reverse proxy server, but if you want to practice it, sure, you can go ahead. But for personal projects, it is not really that much needed. If you have AWS access, then you can definitely try it out. Create two different EC2 instances and create a reverse proxy in one of them, create the actual server in the second of them, or create both of them in one and just try it out. But if you want to try it out, it's all right. Today we'll be creating a forward proxy server, and we'll be routing the request from our forward proxy server to a dummy API on the internet. Okay, so we'll look into that, how that happens. Again, the applications of proxy servers, security, right? How security, it can mask your actual IP address, it can delete your IP address, so the receiving server won't know where the traffic is coming in from. It can provide good performance using load balancers. Okay, it can, anything else, it can block content, it can monitor traffic, right? So if there is a proxy server over here and every request is passing through it, then it will monitor, right? It will save every request that is coming in, and then it will you can sort of draw a chart and everything. Okay, 10,000 requests went to Amazon.com, 50,000 requests went to Myntra, 60,000 requests went to LinkedIn, right? So in that way you can monitor the requests that are going in and to which server. Reverse proxy servers can also monitor the health of different servers. So reverse proxy server is communicating with all these servers, right? So it can also monitor the health, which server is available all the time, which server is available the least of the time, right? So in that way it can monitor the health. And that is it. If you want to learn more about this, the theory part and everything, you can pause the video, you can go to the GitHub link, you can go to code, and inside code, go to day 2 proxies. There is a README file over there. The articles, the links are present over there. You can read all those articles and you will understand it properly. Now it is code time. But before that, it has been a lot of theory. So I'm going to take a small 5-minute break and I'll see you again in a bit. Okay, let us start. So what I've done is I've set up a very basic proxy server, basic Node.js server over here. So along with the code that we wrote in day 1 of 69 days of code, I have created another one, index2.js, and it's pretty similar. It is requiring Express. It is saying const app equal to Express, creating application out of Express. Then I have installed a package called HTTP proxy middleware, which helps us create proxy servers and proxy requests. So you can also do the same, create proxy middleware. You have to include that middleware from here. And then you can create a simple route, app.get/ to check it out. And then you listen to port 6969. Okay. Now, what we need to do is we need to create an API. We need to proxy to a particular API. So I have an API on the internet. So it's called Superhero API. And this is the API. And what it does is it returns the name of superheroes and their, what do you call it? Okay. The hell is wrong with this? Okay, yeah, this is the one, and all.json. If you say all.json, it will return the name of superheroes along with their power stats. Okay, so a lot of superheroes will be written ID1, name, A-bomb, power stats, intelligence, strength, speed, durability, power, combat. If we go down, we'll see other superheroes. 3, Abinsur. I don't know what kind of superhero is that. 426, Man of Miracles, right? Same intelligence, strength, durability, power, combat, a lot of other things. So, formerly Hawkeye. Ronin. Okay, intelligence, strength is just 12. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll create, instead of going directly to this server, we'll create our own server, which will take the request we are making to this server and modify it, and then make a request to that server and then return it back. So just like a forward proxy. Okay, I'm going to go here and I have some code that I'm going to paste here. Okay, and let me explain what I've done here. So this is a proxy endpoint. That means the endpoint that we are going to use for proxying the request to some other server, and the endpoint is /superhero. So when I call localhost 6969/superhero, then this should be triggered. Or slash superhero slash something else. Anything else that I call, this should be triggered. Okay. So what will happen is target. Okay, we are creating a proxy middleware out of this, and there is a target. What is a target? The target is the target API that we are going to use. Okay, so the target API that we want to hit. So our target API is this one, right? We have just seen it here, akebab.github.io superhero API. Same here, akebab.github.io superhero API. Okay, so this is our target API that we want to hit. So this is a proxy server, right? And it will hit the target API. So this is the target API. Change origin as in we need to change the origin from where it is coming from, and then path rewrite as in we want to write whatever is here, right? This whatever is here, we want to remove this and write something else in place of this. So you want to remove slash superhero and just keep it blank. Okay, so if we don't remove it, this will also be appended to this. Okay, but we want to remove this, so this slash superhero will be removed and this request will be placed in place of that. Okay, so what we will do is we will go back and okay, you can see that Node.js application is already running. It is saying proxy created to this particular API. Okay, and proxy rule created is slash superhero. Okay, let's go over here. Let's go to localhost 6969. First, we will go to this, and you can see that nothing is written, slash route. Okay, only a slash route, and then we'll go to slash superhero. But we should not get any data back. See, this just took us to the website, right? This website just took us to this website. Why? Because the request slash superhero, this slash superhero was removed, right? And once this slash superhero was removed, what remained was only this. This slash superhero was removed, so what remained was only the base URL. So what we'll do now is we'll go to slash localhost 6969 slash superhero slash all.json. Okay, all.json is the one that will give us all the superheroes. And you can see that we are getting the data back, and we are still on our local host only, right? So whatever the data was present on this URL, we are getting it on our URL, right? So this is acting as a proxy server for us. I know this is kind of confusing, and that is why I have provided the links for the blogs that I studied, and I was able to create this using those blogs. You can read them if you are not able to understand this. But this is what basically it is. Okay, if you go to slash superhero, it will remove that slash superhero. It will put an empty string in place of that, and it will replace it with this base URL. And whatever you write after slash superhero, it will be appended to this, right? Like all.json, it will be appended to it like this. Okay, so that is it about forward proxies, and I'll put all this code along with the README. So along with the README, okay, yeah, we README and those images that I've shown, so you can keep them as notes. And I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe some new topic, learn something new, something amazing, something different. Bye.